So hey there, thanks very much for checking out my videos here on YouTube. I do greatly appreciate it. So I thought I'd give a little showcase or a little checkout of my new car that I just purchased. So it is a 2013 Hyundai Genesis. It's in very nice condition. It's got about 190,000 kilometers on the odometer. I bought it as is, so it did need some work and some repairs to bring it up to kind of the Ontario safety standards. We talked about that in my live channel. If you want to check that out, we go through some of the Turo stuff that I go through. We also talk a little bit about insurance, maintenance, car repairs, where to buy parts, things along that line. I try and keep it Turo related, but really it's just kind of general car stuff, really. So if you're out there looking for a vehicle, sometimes you can kind of piggyback on that information. So let's take a look at my 2013 Genesis. It's what we would describe as a cash car on Turo. So in other words, it's a vehicle that is right at its kind of bell curve on depreciation. It's right there in that kind of just about at the bottom, not quite, but almost there. So it's one of those things where I can kind of work this with a good ROI over about a year, maybe two, pay down the car, make a little bit of a profit, maybe take care of some maintenance and a few other things with it as well. So again, let's take a little peek. So here we go. This is the 2013 Hyundai Genesis. So again, this was a local purchase, and it was I think a hand-me-down from an estate sale and kind of passed through relatives, and then it kind of migrated to me. So we've got on here a set of Ironman all-season steel-belted radial tires on it. And if you can see, we've got brand new brakes, which is something we had to do for safety. So I went ahead and we did new rotors and pads. On the side, you can see there's no dents, no dings, no marks, and it's very nice shape for what it is. We've got the little side markers on the mirrors, kind of cool. We've got fog lights down below, and of course we've got what looks like a HUD lighting system, but it's not. I think it's in the housing with the lens, but it's got a regular bulb to it, so it means it's very affordable as far as bulb replacements and service. It's got some little LED lights on the markers for nights. It looks kind of nice, actually. We have a little yellowing going on with the lens. Nothing colossal. I'm going to pick up a kit probably from Amazon, or we might go shopping down at Canadian Tire and find one, polish it out, make it look half decent. On the hood, nice and tidy. There's no major chips or rust or anything to really note on it. There's one little tiny little snow brush mark right here. So I'm going to go down to Dent Wizard and probably have him pull that out. I think it'll come out nicely. It's not an aluminum hood, it's a steel hood, so I think it's something you can work with. Again, on the passenger side there, you can see we've got pretty clean, no dings, no dents, no marks as far as that's concerned. So it looks like it's been a garage kept car. Again, we got another one of those Ironman tires. Now I was surprised on this. So they're actually in really nice shape, very even wear on them, lots of tread. So that tells me the alignment is pretty decent on it. It's been well maintained from that standpoint. Ironman aren't exactly the cheapest tires, but they're not the most expensive ones either. And that's that marker light to it. Windshield, according to the records, was replaced about 2 years ago. So it's got no blemishes to it. It's kind of nice in that regards to start fresh from that standpoint. Up top, we've got the nice big sunroof. We've got that Mercedes BMW style antenna on the top. We've got the touch pass, and we've got the remote entry, which is kind of nice. On the inside, it's got the old man brown interior with the old man wood grain, well, faux grain. It looks a little bit like an RCA TV from the mid-90s, but a high-end RCA TV. Got power windows, power locks. The leather is actually in surprisingly really nice shape. So again, a vehicle that's from 2013. It looks like someone has gone over it a couple times in its life with some saddle butter, perhaps. Tidied up. On the driver's seat, it's got a little more weathering to it. I think it's just transfer from, the dyes from pants and so forth. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to give that a shampoo, and we might find that might come up. I'm going to condition it as well. I've already kind of gone over it once with a quick little wash. We did the windows, did the dashboard, got some of the marks and stuff off the actual interior, but it wasn't a full detail. On the back side, what I'm really impressed with, we've got a little tear here I've got to take care of. I might actually do a video on that to show you how to do an affordable repair on leatherette. It's not 100%, but it's definitely a nice fix. And I think in the back, that'll actually complement that nicely. So we might do a video on how to do that. But back seat wise, these seats are pretty much all the way in the back position. And there's lots of room. Like, it's one of those vehicles where if you had a large family of 6-footers, you could actually fit in this comfortably. Headliner. Nice thing with Hyundai, they're not prone to actually pull down, at least not in this era. What I find is the glues that they've used on the headliners are actually pretty decent. Now on this one here, someone's gone ahead and they've replaced all the interior lights with LED lights. So that was a lot of effort to do that. And it's very noticeable at night. It's very bright in the interior. Again, we got another one of those Ironman tires. I still have to go over the rims and clean them up, but you can see that through the rim, we've got that coated rotor. I went with the premium package in the rear because they tend to just trail along. In Southern Ontario, we put a lot of road brine down, and the rears tend to get really riddled with rust and corrosion, where the front ones are used enough that they end up getting to clear themselves off over a period of time. Got to polish out this little area here. I might have to do a blow-in. So we might do a little video on how to do a paint polish and how to do a clear coat. It's nothing major, but it's a nice spot to kind of learn on, and maybe that might make an interesting little short, like a 3-minute or a 5-minute short. If you're interested in that, leave a comment and maybe we'll do that. On the back side, I've already gone ahead and we did a little spray wax on it just to kind of see how the paint was condition wise. When I picked it up, it was really rough. It was filthy. It looked like it had been sitting in a garage for an extended period of time. So I just went over it today down at Listowel Car Wash, and then we came out, we gave it a wax and dry, and just wiped everything down with a microfiber cloth. Trunk space, lots of room back there. Again, we've got the tools there to retorque the tires, and just we've been doing cleanup, so that's about it. Lined in the back trunk as well, so it's very quiet on the road. Again, that backside, you got that little chrome accent because it's a limited model. At one point, this was a Mark Wilson's used car, so we're going back way back in the day. So I think that was the second owner on it. And we can see we've got nice little chrome extensions on the exhaust. I've got to clean those up a little bit. Again, looking down, you can see the paneling is actually pretty decent. There's some rust coming through, just bubbling in spots, so I have to get to that. But I think if I catch it early enough, that won't be an issue. Yeah, nice feature on this one. If you look at the glass work, the way it's reflecting the light, like in a higher end car, like a Mercedes or a BMW, they've gone ahead and they polarized the glass. So it's got the same UV protection that you'd find with a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses, which is kind of unique. Something you wouldn't normally find, I guess, in a Hyundai, but it's just kind of one of those weird little quirky things that's kind of cool. And because of that, the nature of this car, the leather on the back, if it was exposed to sun without this UV protection, it would be bleached and it would be cracked and all sorts of wonderful little things. But this is holding up really nicely. It's got the little sub in the back, so that's kind of nice. It's got the amp system to it as well. It's not the high-end audio package, but it's very comfortable from that standpoint. Very good. So again, we've got the door cards in that lovely kind of camel color. We've got little spots to grab your books and gear. Down below, we've got to get to this. At some point, someone's been underneath the seat rooting for things. So that's one of those things we got to check out. I think it's related to a heated seat issue. So we're going to have a peek on that one. That might make an interesting video. Off to the side here, you can see that the seats are in decent shape. It's got a couple little paw marks here and there. So I've got to go through and again shampoo out the interior. It doesn't look like it's been abused. It just looks like it's got, accumulation over from 2013. Oh, cool little feature on this one, the mirror work. So it actually is very much like a BMW or a Mercedes product or the higher end stuff. When you go in reverse, the mirrors tilt down so you can actually see the line in the road. So that's kind of cool. So if you're parking, it makes it pretty easy. Now this unit here, well, not unit, this car, it's nice in the fact that it's got power windows, power locks, cruise, tilt, memory seating. It's got height adjustable seats. It's got the telescopic wheel, which is really cool. So comes out, Goes in, goes up, goes down. Fascinating. So being a limited package, which is kind of really nice, it came with a standard audio package. So it's not upgraded. It doesn't have the tech to it. Now, I know you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, why would you want to buy a luxury car without the tech to it? If this was a nav system from 2013, the cost to update it, as far as through Hyundai, probably wouldn't justify it. You'd look and kind of go, well, I can buy a new unit for the cost of software and the upgrades. Plus, it's probably going to get a little glitchy. It's just the nature of it. Whereas on this one here, I'm planning to upgrade to a 9-inch touchscreen when I can find one that's functional. So far, we picked one up and I had to send it back to Amazon. But I think that's going to be a nice little upgrade. A lot of them have it integrated with the trim kit, and they allow the climate control to function as if it were a factory unit. They look really sharp, so that's on the to-do list. Down below, we got the old school CD player with the Bluetooth. So in other words, you can still run your phone audio through it if you want to. It'll even do MP3s. Isn't that kind of cool? So plug in for your 12 volt down below if you're old school. It hasn't been smoked, and someone pulled the ashtray out, so that's gone. So that kind of is a good sign. The headliner doesn't show any cigarette smoke or anything along that line. You got the controls for the heated seats. You got the shift gate for the automatic transmission. It doesn't have the paddle shifts on the back. So if you're into the Type R, the V8, I think they have a paddle shifter. I think they're a little different. They also have a control down here. I don't know if you retain the cup holders, but I think they have a control for audio and a bunch of other little features. But it's one of those things that you look at, you kind of go, cup holders are nice. Up top, we got the Smart Link system. So you can hook it up to a garage door if you want to. That's kind of cool. Has a compass built into it. 2 little sensors for lighting. So nice little feature here is if someone rides up in a big giant Dodge Ram truck, well, it's going to tilt this mirror down so you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to blind you. Up top, you got your power sunroof controls, a little area for sunglasses. Pretty rare. It's actually functional, so it's kind of neat. We've got the little microphone up top for your Bluetooth. If you're going to be doing the audio through your phone, it's actually very good quality. Dashboard, nice feature on this one. It's not rippled with the sun. It hasn't been pulled back. It's in nice shape. The only real problem I've got with my dashboard is down here, and it's separated from the structure of it. So in other words, it's a bonded vinylette. So I'm probably going to do a little Gorilla Glue on that one. I might do a video on how to do dash repair. So that might be a nice little 3-minute job right there to do. Glove box, ownership, gear. I got books and manuals in the house because we like to read that stuff. So that's my little walkthrough on my 2013 Hyundai Genesis, just to kind of give you an idea. It's the V6, but I think it's about 330 horsepower. It's a 8-speed transmission, so it's driven by a timing chain, which means maintenance requirement is pretty minimal. It does have an issue with timing chain wear, and that's not on the timing chain itself. It's on the guides that kind of hold the chain in position. So it starts to jiggle or make a little noise on startup. This one doesn't seem to be doing that, but it's one of those things that if you stretch out the oil changes or you go with the wrong grade of oil, it can kind of make that a little more noticeable. So it's one of those things where got to do an oil change. Strangely enough, it's not due. I thought that was weird. So it was done by a local shop. It was already in the system, and it's not ready for another 2,000 kilometers. So it's one of those things, do I do an oil change now? Because I checked the oil, it looks perfect. Like there's no issues from that standpoint. I do want to do a transmission service. That's on the to-do list. We've done the brakes. We did a check on tie rods and ball joints. They're all really good. Like everything on the car seems to have been well maintained and taken care of. So it's one of those things where it sat for a period of time. And that's, I think, kind of the story with it. It hit the road again with somebody, and they kind of just flew for a while with it. And then I think they came up to the conclusion that it needed brake work, or it needed a few other little things for maintenance. And it was probably a car that they inherited or acquired at a very reasonable price. Probably the cost going through the shop, they were probably intimidated by the brake quote. I was too initially. So when I got the brake quote from the local shop and you went through UAP Napa and you got yourself a mid-grade to an upper-level part, the brake system on this one was about $2,300 to do all four. Now, luckily, I was able to do the bulk of the work myself and pick up the bits and pieces from eBay at a fairly reasonable price. So it's one of those things where sometimes you put a little sweat equity into a car. Sometimes you do a little frugal shopping with some good brands. You can get away with bringing that down substantially. So it's one of those things where if you're fortunate enough to be able to do that and have the tools and a little bit of space, that made it worthwhile. So this is my 15-minute introduction to my new Turo car. So it's going to go up on Turo probably in about a week. I still want to do a few more little things like fix that seat. I want to shampoo the carpet. I want to do the trunk nicely, get it nice and tidy. I want to just make sure that everything's running decently. So I've already done a trip out to Owen Sound and back. So we've driven the car for about 4 hours, maybe 5 hours. I'm trying to get something to kind of click, something along the lines of either a check engine light or an ABS sensor to throw so that I can comfortably say, hey, you know what, I gave it a good run. This happened. I can fix it. If I run it for 5 hours or, a few days, going a long trip and nothing seems to occur, I think we've had a pretty safe buy, which is, again, fingers crossed, because you never know at this price point. It's always a guess from there. So again, if you're not familiar with Turo, if you're not familiar with the model that they offer as far as buying a car, putting it on their system, renting it out, it's peer-to-peer rentals. It's something to look at if you're into cars and you're kind of fascinated by the whole things, which is exactly what I like to do. I like to tinker. So I will probably own this car for a year. That's kind of the year mark on it. The Outlander was the same deal. I was planning to hold that for about a year and run it through Turo. It's done really well for me. It's maintenance-wise, it hasn't really been expensive. I've had to do a set of tires. I'm probably coming up to doing brakes on the Outlander, but it hasn't really been problematic, and it seems to get a good response. So it's averaging out, strangely enough, long-term bookings. So it's had 9 bookings. Only 2 were really short ones. The rest of them were all 2 weeks, 3 weeks, almost a month. So it's a good bulk of the time it was out. So it's one of those things where I look at that and think to myself, okay, let's not rock the boat. There's no real reason to get rid of it, which is why I went into this one. I thought, well, I want to add some content onto YouTube. I also want to be able to play around a little bit. And I worked at Hyundai for a few years. And whenever one of these cars came in the shop, and they weren't exactly a common item up here, I think they're a little more common in the States. They're a little unique. They're not high-end exotic cars. They're just a little different. The V8's more common. The V6, I think, poses a lot of less risk when you're looking at it as a car, just as a daily, whereas the V8 tends to give you a few more expenses associated with service and maintenance. I looked at the buyers or the folks that normally are buying the cars when they were new. Usually it was a younger crowd going with the V8 or the R-Type. Typically it'd be driven a little harder, so you get faster brakes, tie rods, ball joints, tires, that type of thing seemed to rotate through, whereas the V6 was typically kind of your middle-aged guy, a business guy. It's just one of those things where you look, okay, well, it was just a car, but it was usually on a lease program with a really good residual in the end. Usually it was maintained, because I think the first 4 or 5 years through Hyundai, I think the service was included. So it's one of those things where typically the V6 is a little better value on the used car market than the V8, at least in my mind, unless you can kind of prove to yourself, hey, that V8 wasn't abused, it wasn't driven hard. These are known to have some transmission quirks. The V8s kind of make that a little more apparent. The V6, because it's only 330 horsepower, it's got a reasonable amount of torque to it, but it's more than, the transmission is more than able to handle that. So that's one of those things where you kind of look and kind of go, okay, longevity-wise, that's a better choice. Plus better fuel mileage, and it's a really torquey little car. Like, it's got some speed to it. It's one of those things where you look and kind of go, what would you need the V8 for other than to get into trouble, right? So hopefully we've come up to 20 minutes. It's probably a really long video with my nammering, but again, that's my little, my fresh purchase. So I hope you enjoy it. Check out my videos, because I am going to go through the whole process of, I think I will do a video on how to fix that little tear in the leather. There's not a lot out there. I'll show you just how to do a basic little kind of touch up and it's easy, it's simple, we'll do it. It won't look 100%, but it'll look better. We'll do that little buff on the corner, show you how to do a little paint repair, and we'll go from there. So again, if you've got any questions about Turo, if you've got any questions about the Hyundai product, or you're just kind of curious, what do the brakes cost, service rates in Ontario, if you're worried about insurance, give me a jingle. I'd be happy to go through with that. The other one is we talk on my live sessions a lot because it's unedited and it's just me sitting in front of an iMac. We talk about finance options, we talk about leasing, we talk about new cars, so a host of things. So again, thank you very much for checking out the videos. I love thumbs up, it gives me the motivation to keep doing them. Also, if you subscribe, that's really handy too. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.